Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new around here, I make videos for anyone who's looking to try and improve their chess in a club rating level, beginner level, any level really. I'm just documenting my chess journey, trying to make educational videos for you to learn from. And yeah, so if that sounds interesting, please consider subscribing, as would be greatly appreciated. In today's video, I'll be covering the opening theory to the Panov Botvinnik attack. This will be the last video I make on the Panov Botvinnik attack theory for now. I may make some in the future. And let's just get into it. So e4, c6, d4, d5, take, and now c4, the Panov Botvinnik attack. Knight f3, knight c6, and we've looked. I'll leave a playlist in the description if you want to see the other lines. But e6 was the first video I made. It's the main line. Knight c6 is also very popular, and now g6. And g6 is kind of a pawn sacrifice. But it's not like a gambit. It's not really a gambit, and the pawn is normally one back. So yeah, the pawn is normally one back. So I wouldn't really. I mean, but it is kind of a pawn sacrifice off the bat. But you'll see how games go along. I want to say something before we get into queen b3. What's the main move? CD5 can be played, and the positions actually are quite different to the main line. So after bishop g7, bishop b5, knight d7, d6, takes. We don't want to allow this. Takes, queen e2. After queen e7 and bishop f4, we take. Bishop comes back, and after king e7, after king e7, we'll go like this, something like this. Get our rooks into the game, and that's a basic setup you kind of want. But I do want to point that out because cd5 is actually quite different to the main line. So cd5 after g6, cd5 could be played, and I reckon, and I just showed you a little line for it. But I mean, black scores okay in those as well. It's nothing that serious. Oh, after queen b3, what's the main move? Black now goes bishop g7. We don't want to play e6 because we don't want to like really lock our bishop in like this. We're going g6. It's just ugly. So you don't want to go e6. You definitely don't want to take because now white's got good development. So I mean, the main move here is bishop g7. This was kind of like the pawn sacrifice idea, and after takes, castles, bishop e2 to go with the idea of bishop f3, and after knight d7. So the whole game will really revolve around black trying to win this pawn back, and white will try and defend it. However, white will normally try to look to give the pawn back with d5, d6. If white doesn't do that, doesn't give the pawn back at the right time, then black can get a very good position, and black can, even though it may be a pawn down, will win back the pawn definitely and have a superior position. So white really has to go for this, has to play d6 at one point. Anyway, knight d7 is the main move. Now bishop f3. I do want to say knight d7, I believe it's, knight d7 is not the only move. Some players prefer to play knight a6. After knight a6, bishop f3, the idea is to go here, or as you'll see, maybe knight b4. After queen b6, offering to exchange queens, what white normally accepts. After ab, knight g to e2, knight b4, castles, and after rook d8, white normally goes, as you see, white normally tries to give that back the pawn with d6. Because look, we've got quite a lot of pieces here, so it'll be quite hard to defend. And if white goes like knight f4, we can always kick the knight out. So white really needs to give back the pawn. But he chooses this time to do it, and after rook d6, uses bishop f4 to develop with tempi. After rook d7, rook fd1, knight b5, and bishop e5. And white has a slight advantage here. But it's a line you could definitely go for if you don't like the main line. So knight a6 is an idea. You could use it to throw your opponent off, maybe like a little surprise weapon. But knight d7 is the main move. After knight d7, bishop f3. Bishop f3, after bishop f3, defending the pawn. Knight b6, putting pressure on the pawn. As you see, we've got some nice pieces attacking it. And white didn't develop with knight f3 because he wants to put the bishop here. After knight g2, e2, bishop g4 is actually the most popular move. However, there is another move with bishop f5, what I'll show as well. Bishop f5, and this is actually what my book suggests. So after bishop f5, castles, bishop d3. It's a funny looking move, but there's a threat to go bishop c4. d6 is played, and after takes, bishop b7, rook b8. And the only thing with this line is that you also lose another pawn, but it's said that black has sufficient compensation for this. Very strong bishop here. The white queen will probably have to move. We've got an open file as well. So this position, you can do further research on it, but black is said to have sufficient compensation for this pawn. So that's a line that also could happen if bishop f5 is a move. But bishop g4, wasn't. It's more popular in modern time. After bishop g4, knight g4, bishop f4, looking to sacrifice the pawn. After knight f6, d6, ed6, and castles, black here goes knight h5, what scores actually very well. Black actually normally wins this position. It's not even like it's normally a draw. Black actually normally wins this. After bishop e3, after d5, his idea is to put your knight here, bring your queen in, bring your rooks in, and yeah, the position is actually very playable for black. Yeah, and I actually recommend you trying to go for this if you do want to play like this. I recommend looking at some master games as well from this position, but that's pretty much the end of the theory. So if you got any value out of the video, leave a like up, as it would be much appreciated. And if you want to see more content like this, I've got more opening theory videos coming. I've got one on the Roy Lopez coming very soon. So if you want to see that, make sure you subscribe. And yeah, have a nice day.